Hello there, good morning. Welcome to another edition of Knocks to Nuggets. My name is Oluwayomi. It's such a joy to come your way this beautiful Monday morning. And to everyone out there joining us live, thank you so much. Thank you for giving me that share of your time. For those that will watch later, I also say a big thank you. And like you know, my request is always simple. Like the video, share it, and let me have your comments. Feedback is good, feedback is huge. So let me have your comments and let's have a conversation going on any area that we have spoken about. Today, I'm not going to take so much of time at this stage. I need to bring back our speaker. We all know him, is very well known. Praise Fowowe was with us last week. So if you missed last week, oh no, please, I appeal to you. Not because I'm the host, but because I know you missed a lot. Go back and watch the video. It's still there on Knocks to Nuggets on YouTube, even on Facebook. Please go back and watch it. But today we are taking it further in our conversation. But we are not going to be centering too much on fathers this time. Last week was all about the fathers, and it's still about fathers in this month of June. But today we'll look at some things also about the mother. So joining me again today is a guest in the house, an expert in the field, Praise Fowowe. Welcome.
Good morning. Sorry, I work in different time zones, so sometimes I lose. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to have you back. And thank you for moving things around to have this conversation with me today. I don't take it for granted. I know what your schedule can be like. Thank you so much for being back here today. And I'm going to hit it off immediately. Last week, one of the things we talked about, one of the questions that came on last week was somebody saying, look, I'm a father. I love my child. I love my children. I want to be there for them, but I'm not available. Not because I don't want to be, but because of my work. Does that make me a bad father? How do I, as quote and unquote, absentee father because of my work, still balance it?
Okay, thank you very much. First off, I love to say that you will always find time for what is a priority to you. Mm-hmm. Everybody needs to understand that. If something is a priority, you will always find time. Because if the same child was accused of doing drugs in that school and they has to be expelled, you will create time. So why do we wait for when situation has gone bad before we create time? The people you work with are human beings, no matter how uptight. I mean, we saw President Obama, when he was the president, he attended PTA, he attended Open Day. I don't know if anyone is as busy, would be as busy as the American president, but you could see the priority he gave to his family. You have an HR manager, you have upline. There are ways you can, PTA is once in a term. Open day is once in a term. So you cannot, in fact, some open days are Saturday, some PTAs are Saturday. And so you cannot say that in a term, which is about 3 months, you cannot ask for a day off. Open day is not even a day off. Open day is a few hours of work. If you fall sick, will your organization insist that you come to work? So many times we say these things and it would sound logical. But the truth is the development of your child is also very logical. So your child is not going to understand that, your daddy is busy and blah, 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 blah. I am very busy. But I prioritize. In fact, one of the things my mentor taught me, my mentor said to me that, Praise, at the beginning of the year, the first dates you need to mark out of your calendar are the days for the family and the children.
Wow.
He said if you don't do that, speaking engagement and church and other people will mess up your calendar in a way that you will now not have time for your family and you'll be making the excuses. The excuse will be like, after all, I'm working to make you guys feel okay. But it's not an excuse at the end of the day. Your children need the gift of your presence, not your present. They always look forward to that time that, oh, my dad is showing up. It's sports day. Dad is rooting for me. Dad is clapping for me. They never forget. Moments are the things you spend with your children. What they're going to take out of your house at the moment. If you read the account of David and Solomon, Solomon kept saying, you know, when I was in my father's house, my father, his father was present. So you cannot say, oh,
Wow. 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 My network is gone. Hello, I think we lost you a moment ago.
yeah, so sorry,
That's a problem.
so I have to quickly change it. Okay. So I was saying that you cannot, I mean, that excuse is I'm bringing in money. No. You know, if you are sick, if you drop dead, the company will continue. So if the company is unwilling to give you 2 hours off, is unwilling to give you a day off to attend to your child, is a company that is not family friendly. You know, so moments are the things your child will take out of your house. The moments you spend with them, the moments you are with them, and that's what will serve them for the rest of their life. When your children look back at their upbringing and they can't find you, then you cannot say that they should be close to you or they should confide in you. How do they confide in an absentee father? How does your daughter tell you about a guy that is stalking her, a guy that wants to sleep with her? How does he tell you when you are not available? How does your son confide in you that someone is offering him marijuana when you are not even there? So we cannot, you need to build a system for your life. I mean, I took a class on Saturday on work-life integration because what has been taught is work-life balance. Work-life balance does not work. It's work-life integration, where work is family, family is work. When you integrate your life that way, you will see your children as work because your children are also work, right? There's a role description. That's why fatherhood and motherhood is not compulsory. It's optional. I used to have a mentor in America, the president of American sex educators, Connie McCabe. Herself and her husband, they don't have a child. So I was asking them, they've been married for like 30 years. How come you guys didn't have a child? And they said to me that, praise, that when they were going to get married, they knew the two of them were going to be busy. And so they said that it would be irresponsible for them to bring in a child to this world when both of them will not have time to raise that child. You can be married without necessarily having children. But if you are going to have children, then you better be ready for the role description and the responsibility that comes with raising a child. You cannot abdicate that to your house help, abdicate it to your wife alone. It takes two. And you can convince yourself that it's my work, I am busy, I am this, I am that. But no, your child will never understand why other people's dad show up, including other people's dad who are busier than you. They show up for sports day, they show up for open day, but you are very busy. Now, it's not going to be tenable to your child at the end of the day. So you have to create time and ask yourself, is my child a priority to me? If your child is a priority to you, you will always create time for what is a priority.
Wow. If your child is a priority to you, you always create time for what is a priority. Now, still on that question, now a clarification. So the question is not about absentee fathers, but fathers whose work will only allow for 2 out of 4 of the child's commitment. So maybe I want to give an example. I'm a father and I work onshore, offshore.
Yeah.
And so this month I'm onshore, and then that month is my child's open day. So I want to be there, but I'm not even in. So I'm not an absentee father in its totality, but out of 4 commitments, I can only make 2. How do you balance it out?
That's understandable. But you can't be offshore all the time. This time you're offshore. Next time you're offshore. That time you're offshore. For the rest of your life, you're offshore. No, you cannot be offshore all the time, right? If you are offshore this time, your child will understand, right? And you need to communicate that. And when you are now not on offshore, right, or when you're on shore, whatever, right, you need to ensure that you drive them to school when you are available. That will more than make up. Drive them to school, follow them to school, pick them from school, right? That will make up for the time you were not there. But to now be around and not still be around is unacceptable. Do you understand? True. Things can happen. You can be transferred. You can even, I mean, what you need to. So, I mean, I can, that's my children's school in some other country right now, you know, and I'm here. Now, I can't fly in, especially during COVID, but I was joining online. I was having moments with them every day. You know, we were having meetings consistently. You know, I was there. When they're doing homework, I'm on Zoom. I'm monitoring them. I'm there with them. I'm giving input, right? You have to always create that time. Every night, I'm with them. I'm giving them tasks. I'm hearing them. They're talking to me. You always have to create that time. That's why I always tell the parents that if you're talking to your child and you are fiddling with your phone, it's disrespectful to your child. What you are saying to your child is there's someone else on the other line who is more important. I don't multitask when I'm with my children. I don't the phone so that I can give my absolute attention to them. So you need to respect the child, respect their future, respect everything that it is about them, and be there when you are there. Not that you are there and you are not there. You are there, but you are talking to some other people. You know, that is the bane of what I mean of parenting in this part of the world. You know, your children need you, and you need to be there for them, because sometimes they are talking to you, but their body language is saying otherwise. If you don't give 100% attention, you will not be able to spot some of the things that is going on with them.
Wow, true. Thank you very much for clearing that. Now let's talk about communication. And I want to hold on a particular scripture that says, train up a child in the way that it should go. Another one says, spare the rod and spoil the child. And then today I hear, no spanking, no beating, just talk. So let's talk about communication and discipline. Those two things I need to work on for the next few minutes.
Discipline is not spanking. Spanking, however, can be a form of discipline, but it's not even within the context of discipline. Spanking is not there. Where spanking feature is punishment. There are three words used carelessly: discipline, domestication, and punishment. The word discipline is a Latin word, disciplina. It means to groom, to train, to correct, and to disciple. Those are the four words that make up discipline. Now, within the context of grooming, training, correcting, and discipleship, there is no caning, yelling, spanking there. It's like you want a soul for Christ. The Bible says, as newborn baby desire the sincere milk of the word, that you may grow thereby. After a while, the soul begins to struggle, or it begins to misbehave in your word. You don't slap the soul and say, after all the prayer I pray for you, you are still smoking, I'm going to slap you. No, you don't do that, right? You tell him that, okay, you know, I understand, but I know you can change. Many of us endure. You know, when I see the way we treat people in church who are just born again and the way we treat our children, it looks to me like we are acting. We treat those people with compassion. We treat our children with meanness. And I don't understand it. Now, the other word is the word domestication. Domestication is the Latin word domesticator. It means to clip wings and to tame. So when your parents say to you, and they said it to many of us, I'm going to clip your wing, I'm going to put you under, that is the word domestication, right? But there's a third word, which is the word punishment. It's the Latin word punire. Punishment means to inflict pain and to avenge. That's punishment. So what many of us are doing is punishment, not discipline. What is the goal of discipline? The goal of discipline is to correct a behavior and help a child master something. Now, if the behavior, if it's behavioral, which means it's emotional, how does physical punishment solve a behavioral problem? If beating can solve a problem, how come criminals don't change after beating? Think about it for a moment. Now, back to the Bible. Solomon was speaking. You know, when people read the Bible, I always tell them, you know, if you study the Bible into context, there are the things God said. There are things people said in the Bible. There are things that people wrote about. David, for example, the book of Psalms was just his poem to God, right? Solomon wrote Jewish proverbs. So what you have quoted is found within the context of Jewish proverbs, bound in the heart of a child. There's a definite article, indefinite article A, which presupposes that not every child has foolishness in them. And how you will know is if you check, mention one Bible character that was slapped, that was beaten. I mean, because the Bible is complete, like we love to say, you know, you won't find any, right? So what was happening there? We need to understand it. The Bible says, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. So when we use rod, the question is, what kind of rod comforts? Of course, belt and koboko cannot comfort anybody. So there must be something in there that we are not understanding, because you can understand the Bible. You can understand the Bible to the, I mean, you can only understand the Bible to the extent of your worldview. So our worldview, we are coming from a military background where we have been flogged, where we were in slavery. So when rod is mentioned, rod to many of us as Africans will remind us of plantation and slavery where we were flogged. To a generation who has not been through that, rod can be communication, rod can be the word of God. Do you understand? So rod is not synonymous to beating and spanking. I am not against beating. I am not. Right? However, never beat a child for what you have not taught him, because that will be wickedness. Two, never beat a child without giving him chance to master what you have not taught him, because even you as an adult, there are things you have been learning since you were with your parents. You have not mastered it. Who is beating you? And that's why I say, if we all agree that beating can solve a problem, when daddy also misbehaves, let us beat him. When mommy misbehaves, let us beat her. Since beating can solve a problem, because we cannot say beating will solve the problem for a child, it cannot solve the problem for an adult. If beating can solve the problem, let us begin to beat everybody. Number three, never beat a child when you are hungry. You are going to damage the child. Number four, never beat a child when there's no proof that beating can correct that behavior. Number five, never beat a child when there is another way to correct the behavior other than beating. Six, never beat a child without giving him chance to defend himself, because you may discover something new. And seven, never beat a child without agreeing with the child proud to the time the offense is committed, the punitive measure for that offense. Because it cannot, discipline cannot be at the end of your emotion. So many of us, in fact, what you call indiscipline in your child oftentimes is what they have observed in you. They are only reflecting you. And oftentimes, we don't understand the difference between expected behavior and bad behavior. A 4-year-old spills water, you beat him. What spilling of water, is it expected behavior or bad behavior for a 4-year-old? It's expected. But because we don't understand the milestones in the life of children, there are about 5 milestones. There are job descriptions for those 5 milestones. From ages 0 to 3, you are supposed to be a scout. You do not shout, spank a child before 3 at all, because you are observing the child and taking note. The child is sending you signal. From ages 4 to 6, you are supposed to be a model. At that age, you model competence, you model excellence, you model organization, you model everything. You lay your bed so that your child can lay his bed. If you are not laying your bed, you are not beating the child, your room is disorganized. What does your own room look like? Right? You are doing do as I say, don't do as I do. So you need to model all those things from that age. Now, from ages 7 to 9, you are supposed to be an instructor. That is the age where you design your family educational system, and you instruct your child based on what you have seen from ages 0 to 3. From ages 10 to 12, you are supposed to be a friend. Now, at that age, your children are already growing gradually to their preteen years. You are supposed to find a space in their life. Let them teach you their dance step. Let them teach you a lot of things. You create rapport with them. Because from ages 13 to 18, you are a coach. You balance perspective, right? You argue things out with them. You present superior perspective and you moderate. Because from age 19, you are an advisor and you are a cheerleader. Parenting is an 18-year curriculum. What happens from Ignite is your report card. So many of us are not skilled, and we are not equipped, and we are not willing to learn. We carry a head that has no knowledge on parenting, and we want to impose it on the child, forgetting that the children you are dealing with are Generation Z and Generation Alpha. The Generation Z and Generation Alpha, they come with their dynamics, and that's why they will challenge you. They will take you up. What you couldn't ask your parents, they're going to ask you. So are you prepared? I run a class. It's called The New Rules of Parenting. It's 4 weeks. Every Saturday night, right? And class 1, what we find out is, right, we find out that a lot of parents themselves were traumatized as children. So the pain in them is what they are extending to the child. So what we do in class 1 is to go through healing process. Do take them through a compulsory healing. And many of them break down in class because for the first time they are realizing that they themselves are in pain. And you see, people in pain inflict pain on others. When you understand what your child is trying to do, every time my child does something I don't accept with, I know it's because something is going on with his identity. And the first question I ask him is, David, who are you? Because every behavior is either a non-discovery of self or a non-remembrance of self. And the society is scripted to make them doubt who they are. So your child is the plant. The bad behavior is weed. What are weeds? Weeds are unwanted plants that you have not planted. What do you do to weed? You attack the weed, not the plant. And to even uproot the weed, you need skills, or else you may uproot the weed with the plant. What many of us do is we attack the plant and we expect the plant to change. No, your child's esteem, identity must not be compromised in your bid to beat him. So many of us will say we were disciplined. A disciplined generation, we were not disciplined. We were domesticated. A disciplined people will produce a disciplined environment. That Nigeria is the way it is a reflection of who we are. And Nigeria looks domesticated, therefore means we must have been domesticated, we were not disciplined. What was the opportunity cost of what they did to us? We now lack confidence, we lack good self-esteem, we are insecure, we are jealous of one another. Those are symptoms of domestication, not discipline. A disciplined child will be confident, will be able to speak his mind, no matter where he finds himself, will be able to fit in. Those are discipline, right? And not domestication. So we need to actually figure out, what are we doing? If I can speak to you with respect and it can correct a behavior, why would I want to go through the rigors of spanking and yelling and using koboko? I think that's what is convenient. We were beaten, so we think we have earned the right to beat, right? And I always say to people that, you see, when you have a behavior you are struggling with, you are in a glass house, you cannot throw stone. There are your imperfection consistently remind you that there are things you have not mastered, despite the best effort of your parents. Why would you now expect a 5-year-old to have mastered something when he has the rest of his life? So how you structure, what you model, how you build systems in your home are the things you need to begin to check, not your child, because a child knows nothing. The tabula rasa of the child is plain when the child arrives this planet Earth. So where did the child suddenly learn how to do a score? Where did he learn? By observing you, right? So stop, first beat yourself. Then if beating can solve a problem, let us institute it. That when daddy comes late, let us beat him. When mommy does what is wrong, let us use koboko on her, since that is discipline. Because discipline, we cannot use one rule for a child and use another rule for a dog. If beating is what can correct a behavior, even I am willing to start beating myself. If beating can actually correct that behavior. But how does God deal with us? How did God deal with David? How did God deal? How did they raise Prince Harry, Prince Charles? How did they raise them? Right? Because their identity must always be intact. And that's why even in Norway now, they are closing down prison because they eliminated death sentence, they eliminated life imprisonment, maximum jail time became 22 years. And they said, if you treat a human being like an animal, he will respond like an animal. If you treat a human being like a human being, he will become human. But if you treat a human being like a royalty, he will behave like a king. So they changed the prison system and made it like 5-star hotel. So if you are a prisoner, you are entitled to cable television. If you are married, your wife can come and sleep with you in prison, right? So they made them feel like human beings. There were people who left prison and became surgeons because they made them go back to school. That is how to treat human beings. If you remind a human being of who he is, he will not misbehave, right? And that's what we need to learn. Many of us can talk, we have not mastered communication, because communication requires skill, and we don't have that skill. For lack of that skill, we now bully the child, we shout on the child, we do all kinds of things except for what we need to do. Can we accept that we don't understand parenting and come down from our high horses and for the first time be humble enough to go and learn? Because it can be learned. You were not born with it, you need to learn it.
Wow. You escaped my question just a moment ago when you made reference to God. I want to say to you, Praise, are you not putting all the blame on the parents and making the children go scot-free? Because it's both. It takes two to tango. But when you came to how does God treat us, I was totally disarmed. And it's so true. How does God treat us? But Praise, when you said don't spank a child from age 0 to 3, how do you correct that child at that age? Most people have said, if you, for instance, when they try to stop doing something, it's a little baby, and you just tap the child like that. Child knows that mommy is saying no and runs back. But you are saying age 0 to 3, don't beat the child at all. How?
What can a 3-year-old be doing wrong? Can you give me an example? That it will be wickedness.
No, not that is wickedness now. Praise.
So the child is trying to explore his environment. You left your phone down. I mean, when my children were less than 5, we took a tour around the house and we began to ask ourselves, what are the things that a toddler who is now running around can destroy? So we put them at a particular height. Matchbox was at a height where their hands cannot touch. Phones at a height their hands cannot touch. So if they can't touch it, they can't destroy it. Because the child is trying to explore his environment. We check all the house and ensure that all the cables are well kept. So if you create the play space for a child, he cannot play beyond the space. But what many of us do is we don't do our part, then we now say the child destroys my phone. A child cannot destroy the phone. A child plays with the phone. Do you understand? Because the phone is toy to him at his age. That's what his brain can understand. So I am not saying don't discipline a child, but are you aware withdrawing some things like cartoon is more painful to a child than beating? Are you aware? If a child has a favorite cartoon and you say, for the next 1 week, you're not going to watch this cartoon, the torture of going to school and his friend telling him what happened that he didn't watch is enough for him to behave. But we just settle for spanking. My father beat me very well. After a while, I became so used to beating and I began to say, you will grow resistant to things like that. Do you understand? So, but there are things that are more painful, that are more, empowering, that will not compromise it, that will make the child understand that there are consequences for every behavior. He has a birthday party. If you don't do your room, you won't go for the birthday party. If you didn't do his room, you are not going to go for the birthday party. The torture of hearing the gist about the birthday party will make him behave next time. But we always think you have to shout. I don't shout. Because I tell people, if you claim you are a believer, you have the fruit of the Spirit in you, your child, whatever your child is doing, whatever behavior you are exhibiting, is proof of what exists in you. If you crush me now, and Mukaila comes out, then I am not praised. I am Mukaila. Right? It's praise that must come out. So if you say you have the fruit of the Spirit, love, no matter what your child does, if hatred comes out of you, there is hatred in you, work of flesh. Joy, your child does something, bitterness comes out, there is bitterness in you.
Oh God,
peace.
Praise
Agitation comes out, there is agitation in you. You don't have peace. Love, joy, peace, patience. Are you impatient with your child? My child must read. There is no patience in you. So don't be saying you have fruit of the Spirit, because your child will show you whether you have fruit of the Spirit or not. Long suffering is there. Patience is there. Self-control is there. But many of us, we manifest the work of the flesh when we are dealing with our children. The next minute you are not praying to God. No, check yourself. Check yourself.
Praise, you would kill us. Somebody said, won't spanking them ensure they don't go there again, sir?
So when you are spanked and they don't go there again, what if there's something to discover to discover there? So let me give an example. You say to a child is standing on a table, and he says, I'm going to jump. And you know that table is too high for him. What do you say? Get down. And he says, I won't get down. What do? You beat him. And you say, I said, don't jump. Now, you have saved him from himself, but you have also killed his capacity to dare higher things in him. That's why many of us grow up as adults and we can't dare big things. See the things we are daring. See the things we say God can do. We are using God to claim a house, to claim car. We are not using God to claim territories. It's a function of how we were scripted. You could have told him, Junior, you can jump, but this jump is a bit high for you. Let us start from here and create another jump that he can jump. He will be jumping that, then it becomes aspirational for him to jump the higher one. What you have subliminally building into him is capacity to dare and a can-do spirit to say, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. However, I need to take calculated risk. But by telling him you will break your leg, I'll beat you, you have brought fear into him. So as he grows older, what he begins to dare will be limited. That's why you don't find black people in extreme sports. When we hear that whites are going to the moon, you know what we say? They don't believe fool. Yeah? Why would they want to go to the moon? Because we are not aspirational. Our capacity to dare the odds has been taken away by fear. And fear has torment. So Cain will bring fear. And that's why we are comfortable with the fear of God, not the love of God. There are two ways to avoid sin. Through fear or through love. So many of us are fear. God is like Amadioa, Shango, unkillable killer. But we are not comfortable with the love of God. Do prayer points in church today and say, let us pray. Every enemy who wants to kill us, let them die. You will see people shout. But raise another prayer point and say, let the love of God be developed in me. You will see that it's low tone. We are not comfortable with love. We are comfortable with fear. Our leaders in Africa, they struck fear into you. Our parents, they struck fear into you. They didn't teach us love. If I truly love you, there are things I won't do to hurt you. So it's lack of love. That's what we don't have and we don't understand. We understand fear, not the love of God.
Wow. That is awesome. You've said so much. I know that if we leave you, this conversation will not come to an end. Somebody said, I try not to dissuade my children from a seemingly dangerous adventure. I only guide them against harm, which is what she has been saying. And somebody says, what I'm hearing is communication in very bold letters is key to building the right capacity in your children. So yes, let him jump in stages, tandem with age and capacity. Don't kill that spirit to dare. Indeed, parenting is huge. We can go on and on and on. And honestly, like you said, it's an 18-year curriculum. You cannot exhaust it in 30 minutes, in 1 hour, in 30 hours. But Praise, a final word from you to the fathers, but then to parents.
Well, fathers, I want to say thank you for all you've done. Thank you for providing sponsorship. But we now need you to provide fatherhood. Sponsorship is not enough. We need you to provide fatherhood. We need you to be there. And for every parent, don't assume you know. Get knowledge. That's why now we are aggressive. We are aggressive about it. Our goal is to train 50,000 African parents who understand parenting, and they can co-parent with their creating a new village. That's what we're doing. Please buy the truth, don't sell it. Go learn parenting. There are things you need to uninstall in you that did not serve us. What Africa is today is already proof that what our parents claimed they did not work, as it were. So the data was released last week. The 11 worst countries to live on the planet. Africa are the top worst 11 African countries. That is a feedback that something is wrong. If you want to create a developed society, it must start from a developed family. A developed family must start from a developed people. And development must start with personal development. So we need to learn how to correct people without yelling and bullying them. There are ways to do it. It's a skill. It can be mastered. And what I always say to parents, I'm going to leave this with you. If President Joe Biden hands you over his grandson and he says, raise this boy for me. But this boy is very stubborn, oh, but I know you can raise him. But we're going to pay you $1 billion. But we are going to install CCTV in your house to monitor how you are raising this boy. Question, will you shout? Will you yell? Will you spank? Will you beat? You will now realize that you will find more creative ways of correcting those behaviors without all the tantrums that we're doing. If you can do that for the grandson of Joe Biden, why are you not doing the same to your child? Let's show love to this child. The environment is already hard, tough. They need a lot of our love. Let's not add in them. Let's preserve their spirit. Let's treat them exactly the way God is treating us. And if we do that, God is so long-suffering. He perseveres with our weaknesses, our mistakes, our struggles, and he never gives up. That is the spirit of fatherhood. When we understand that, we will persevere, be patient with a child. And even when they go astray, you will understand that it's part of their journey based on the audience God is going to send them to. They need to be the high priest who is touched by the feeling of other people's infirmities. That's why they have to go through what they are going through. And everything will work together for them, not against them. Thank you very much. God bless.
Wow, that's so much to chew, so much to chew. Thank you so much, Praise. I truly appreciate you. And I want to appeal to every single person. He said something that is very key: get knowledge. And if I'm not wrong, your YouTube channel is Praise Fowowe Life. Am I right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So that's his YouTube channel there, Praise Fowowe Life. Just Google Praise Fowowe, you will find him. He has so much information in this area. And trust me, Praise, I'm coming back to you again because we need to talk someday about finding and developing your passion and that of your children. It's so key. It's so important. But thank you so much for your time this 2 Mondays. It's been amazing with you. Thank you so much. Trust me, I will come again. But until then, I appreciate you. Have a very, very wonderful week ahead.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye for now. Wow, that was huge. That was so much. To every single person on this call, thank you so much. I'm sure you learned a lot from Praise Fowowe. And like I said, his YouTube channel is there. It's very rich. Just Google Praise Fowowe. There's so much you can learn from him. There's so much you can glean from his trainings. And I'm sure it will add value to you. Let's make the world a better place by being better parents, better adults, better mentors, better coaches. And until I come your way next week, Monday, I won't reveal Monday yet. I'll just tell you, stay tuned, stay glued to Knox to Nugget, because every day is fresh, every day is new, and every day has something just for you. So until I come your way next week, Monday, in another edition of Knox to Nugget, I love you. Never forget it. Love this video, share it, tell somebody about Knox to Nuggets, and together we win. God bless you.